Welcome to the Vibrantly You podcast. We're your hosts, Megan Martineau.
And Caitlin Cipriano. In this podcast, we talk about fitness and nutrition on your motherhood journey. Whether you are trying to conceive, pregnant, postpartum, or beyond, you are welcome here.
Nothing is off limits, and our goal is to support you in this important season of life so that you can feel vibrantly you. As a reminder, this information is not medical advice. Please see the show notes for more details. Welcome back to the Vibrantly You podcast. Today we are continuing our Coffee Chat series, and this is just going to be a fun, lighthearted episode. We're going to be talking about what we packed in our hospital bags, things we used, things we didn't use. I might also pull from what's in my doula hospital bag because that might be some helpful information. But this is just going to be a casual chat, especially if you're a first-time mom scouring the internet looking for what to put in your hospital bag. Maybe you're coming across a lot of influencer blogs that have like 3 suitcases full of stuff. And you're like, okay, what do I actually need? That's what we're going to talk about today. So, to start, let's start with like staples for baby because I think that's like a smaller list. What'd you pack for your babies?
Yeah, I think that I did actually try to keep this simple both times, which is actually quite shocking because in general I would consider myself an overpacker packer. But yeah, for baby, I think essentials were just like, going home type of outfits, like a few onesies, a few sleepers with zippers, um, and maybe I think I might have packed like a swaddle of our own. Trying to think, our hospital did provide like diapers and wipes and that kind of thing for starting. So it was really just sort of like those initial like clothing pieces for the baby. I don't really remember packing much else for
Yeah,
either of them.
that's pretty much what I did too. So, like a going home outfit, something like kind of
Yeah,
cute-ish. Even though,
yeah.
like, in hindsight, I'm like, did it matter? Like, no one saw him in this cute little outfit. Um, the swaddles for sure, bringing swaddles from home that have like the Velcro because
Yes.
trying to figure out how to swaddle those hospital blankets, especially as a first time parent, that's like a stress that you don't need. I remember having to like call in the nurse a bunch because we were like, we don't know how to do this. He would just like break out of the swaddle and we were like, nurse, come help us. So having those swaddles that you can just do by yourself is definitely something that I would pack. Yeah, and then like a couple onesies. I think I maybe even brought some pacifiers because I wasn't sure if we would need them, and I don't think we ended up using them that early on. But we did bring like a cute outfit that had like our last name on it to take like some early photos. Um, and I will say like doula clients will do that too, like bring like cute photo or cute outfits for like newborn photos because also some hospitals now, I don't feel like they did this when we had our kids. Maybe they did. But like now a lot of hospitals have photographers that will come around and do newborn photos and then you can choose to buy them or not, which is kind of nice. So you can like see the photos and then be like, yeah, I want them or no, I don't. And like they'll have props and stuff, at least the hospitals around here. Um, but if you want to bring like how people will do like a blanket in the background that has like their kid's name or, something cutesy like that. Or if you want like a matching outfit with your baby. Um, so yeah, anything that you might want for like newborn photos if they do that at the hospital too, I would say bring.
Yeah. They definitely were not doing that March 2020
No.
when I had my son during COVID. I have not heard of that in Vermont, at least. But certainly, yeah, depending on what your area is, it sounds like that might be an option. Yeah, but I think we just did a kind of our own. We got like a cute little wooden, medallion sort of shaped prop to put like her name and everything on it. So I think that was, yeah, the other little item for that kind of thing. Um, but then moving into like packing for yourself, what are some things that you included that were like, okay, this was like actually helpful?
Definitely PJs with buttons, especially for postpartum. Having, as if you plan to breastfeed, having, but even not, like even if you're just doing skin to skin, like having the buttons, good. Um, let's see, what did I actually, because there's a lot of stuff that I brought that I didn't use, but let's see, the things that I did use, yeah, so definitely that, like a comfy sports bra or like nursing bra, like something that's like loose-ish and comfy. Um, I did bring my own hospital gown, but I did not use that. But it was comfy. I brought definitely a long phone charger. That's definitely key, especially because the outlets are like in obscure places a lot of times and like far from the bed. So having like those 6 foot chargers, bringing a sound machine for postpartum, definitely key because when they're coming in all the time and checking and you have the monitors and just having a sound machine is nice. Same with an eye mask to just like block out everything. Um, Noise canceling headphones if you want those in labor to just kind of block everything out, but also I used it postpartum. Um, I remember I was like up in the middle of the night um with the baby, and like my husband was sleeping and like she was just like nursing and just like and I was like kind of awake at that point, so I just like had my headphones on, like watched a show on my phone, and that was kind of nice. So I was glad I had brought those. Trying to think of like postpartum specific things because I feel like there were things I brought for labor and for postpartum. Um, some shower stuff, like toiletries, things like that. I feel like not much. Do you have anything to add to like postpartum specific things?
The other item that you didn't mention that I found helpful, postpartum especially, were like the fuzzy socks that have like the
Oh, yeah.
grippies on the bottom. Like those were amazing. I just remember like it was kind of a last minute thought during my first pregnancy, and I was just like so grateful for those. Um, I know you had mentioned like the long phone charger. That was definitely really helpful. And the eye mask, definitely just like both beforehand, like during labor, depending on how long your labor are, there are just lots of like blinking lights and like machines in that room. So just being able to like block that out was very helpful. But yeah, it depends, I think, on your situation. I didn't need it as much in my second labor because it was much quicker, but it definitely is dependent, I think, and helpful to have in there. Um, I think the other thing postpartum that was helpful that I didn't pack the first time, but I packed the second time was the angled peri bottle. Both of the hospitals, birth centers that I delivered in just had like the regular like one, and the angled is definitely just like so much better.
Was your
Like
regular one like the ketchup bottle, kind of
yeah,
looking
like
thing?
basically, like I don't know. I was like, this is sort of not that great, you know. And then when I got home, I was like, oh yeah, like they should have packed this angled one with me. But I was like, they'll have all of this, they tell you like we'll have all of the supplies that you need. Like you don't need to pack that stuff. And so I was like, okay,
Also, the
no.
Freedom Mom mesh undies, those are like, I mean, some people are like, oh, they're overhyped. I loved those things. Those were so comfortable. And like the hospital ones were okay. Like they weren't terrible, but they definitely like fall apart a little more. Those Freedom Mom ones,
I
the
definitely
goat.
think,
I love
yeah,
those.
get something on your own for those. Yeah, the ones at the hospital were not as good. But I think also like even if you don't want to like use your own while you're in the hospital, like the hospital ones do sort of like suffice for hopefully the 2 or 3 days that you're there.
Yeah, and they definitely like, because I know a lot of people will get like that Freedom Mom postpartum kit. But I feel like in the hospital, besides like that peri bottle, like you mentioned, like they have the Tux pads, they have the biggest maxi pads you will ever see in your life.
Yeah.
They
Which
have the
great.
ice packs. Yeah, so it's like I wouldn't bring all of those because that's just going to be annoying to pack and better to save that stuff for home because they definitely have plenty of that stuff in the hospital that works just fine.
And take stuff like with you home from the
Hmm.
hospital. Like take the thing of Tux, you know. And usually the nurses are pretty good about saying that too, like take the stuff with you
Yeah. Take
with you.
everything. They just throw it out. Otherwise, like they don't
Yeah, they
reuse
can't use
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
So
like the diapers, the
yeah,
um like
take it
anything they have
all.
for baby, yeah, take all of that too.
Yeah.
I would also bring shower shoes. You don't
Yeah.
necessarily need them, but I don't know, for me, I get a little grossed out being in
Yeah,
a
I could see
shower like
that.
that without shoes. So like flip flop, if you're one of those people that gets grossed out like me, definitely bring some like flip flops for the shower.
Yeah,
And if you want to bring a towel from home, the hospital towels are very tiny, very tiny. So
that
they
is
have
true.
them, but they're small.
Yeah.
You might want a bigger, nicer one. Um, yeah, I think that's mostly everything for postpartum. What about labor stuff? Especially for you, because you had two labors in the hospital. I only had one. So, what did you
Yeah.
bring the first time? What did you use? What did you not use? And then how did that shape like your second experience?
Yeah. I think, and this is like probably like very much my first thought because I'm a nutritionist, but like the snack bag, I think is like one of the most important most important things. Um, depending on the hospital they're in, they may or may not have like snacks sort of available for you in your like labor and delivery space. And so being able to have access to some things like that are really helpful because sometimes labor is really long and you do need some like quick fuel to kind of like help keep you going. It doesn't necessarily need to be like a meal, right? But like, things like the like single serve like nut butters are awesome. Either like honey sticks or if you're like a Vermonter, there's like the untapped maple syrup packets. Like you could use like gels or applesauce, like gummies, little things that get you those like quick glucose carbohydrates that digest quickly and efficiently are really helpful to have on hand during labor, especially again, you don't know how long your labor is going to be. It could be very short, 3 to 4 hours. It could be long, over 24-hour situation. And so, depending on your situation and where you are birthing, I know rules change. And so, hopefully, most places now you can at least be able to have those kinds of items to help fuel yourself, unless it's a high risk type of situation.
And it's nice to bring snacks too, like for postpartum, because especially
Yes.
when like things in the hospital, like, mealtime is, the cafeteria is closed, whatever. When you get hungry in the middle of the night, especially if you're breastfeeding, you'll be glad you have those snacks.
Yeah, and so for those kinds of things I mentioned initially are definitely more like during labor, postpartum, some things to bring that are great are like any type of like energy bites or sort of like granola bar type of deals. Um, what else did I pack in there for afterwards? There was definitely snacks for like my husband too. So if you have your partner or if you have a doula with you, like maybe put some things in there for them. And then I packed like a lot of hydration things for both during and after as well. Definitely there was electrolytes. I think I had some like coconut waters, things of that nature were really, really helpful both during and after. Um, I'm sure I had a lot of a lot of other things in there too, like, but I can't remember exactly. But there was a lot of snacks.
No, yeah, I think that's a great list. And then what'd you bring just for like labor coping things? And like what was helpful? What did you maybe not use?
Yeah, I think that I didn't use a lot of, like, I don't think I put a lot of th things that were helpful for that that maybe other people talk about. I think I just, in my experience, I didn't know, maybe in the first one, like what to pack for coping. And then with my daughter, like everything happened really like quick quickly and I didn't think about packing things. But I know some people do really have like comfort measures and things that work really well for them. So maybe you can speak more to that with some examples. But personally, I didn't really like include a lot of those types of things.
Yeah, I actually, so obviously my first was a planned C-section, so I didn't bring anything. For the second, I had brought labor combs. I did use those to squeeze in my hands just for like distraction. I had brought my noise canceling headphones. I don't think I ended up using those though. I utilized the yoga ball a lot in the hospital room and utilized my doula, for like counter pressure and things like that.
Mhm.
Um, but for doula clients, things that people tend to bring are like twinkle lights or like electric candles, battery operated candles, especially if you want like a dim setting. So like turning off the big lights, but you have those little like whimsical lights to set the mood. Essential oils. I would not recommend bringing a diffuser though, because your sense of smell is very heightened in labor. So if you start diffusing stuff and then you decide that that smell is horrible to you, it's really hard to get that smell out of the room if you've been diffusing. I would still bring scents that you like and enjoy, but being able to put them on like a cotton ball, hold under your nose, or putting them on a rag, and then you can like throw that in the laundry. So I would not recommend diffusing. That typically does not end well for people. Um, Something that I really like to put in my doula bag that clients do utilize are these Colgate Wisp things. So they're like these little like travel toothbrush things that you don't even need like water to brush your teeth. You don't have to spit it out, but it just like makes your breath a little mintier. That can be very nice too, especially after someone has gone through transition and has been throwing up. Just use one of those. Or like mints, anything like that to kind of like change what's happening in your mouth. Because again, everything's so heightened in labor. And if like you are not liking the taste in your mouth, like that can just put you over the edge. So having something like minty or something that can clean your mouth, hair ties, hair clips, chapstick.
Emotional support water bottle is the only other thing like I'm thinking of as you're talking. I know they provide you with water bottles in the hospital, but like there is also just something to be said for your own water bottle and having your partner remind you to drink water in between your
Yes.
contractions.
I do think a lot of people like having their own water bottle. Like you said, it's like that emotional support, like comfort thing. You're used to it. A speaker for your own music, or again, if you have headphones, whatever you want, or bring both, depending on what mood you're in, or bringing your iPad so you can load up a show. If you have a comfort show that you want to watch for like distraction, that can be really helpful. And then anything like visual that you want. Whether like I had a client bring an ultrasound photo. I have one who's more religious, so she's going to be bringing like the cross, and things like that to bring her comfort. So just different like visual things that bring you comfort and that you can focus on, I think is a really great option to bring with you. I'm trying to think if there's anything else from like a doula perspective. I said the combs. Um, I've also had people bring their own yoga mats. If you want to be able to like get onto the ground and do like different positions, like most hospitals and birthing centers have the yoga balls, but also if you're wanting to use the ball down on the ground to like get in all fours and like lean on the ball and you want some padding under your knees and you just don't want to be like kneeling on the hospital floor, which is fair, bringing a yoga mat um, can be great too. But yeah, I think that's mostly everything that I can think of at the moment.
I think that's pretty well-rounded, honestly, and just sort of like the things to think about is like, you know, baby, some things for you during your labor, some things during postpartum, the snack bag, and then some comfort measures that you feel like would be helpful. And Megan has some more thoughts and
Yeah.
things that came up with
One
that.
more thing I
So,
thought of. If you plan to utilize water, and I know that you use the tub, did you bring a bathing
yeah.
suit, top, or anything, or did you just hop right in?
Yeah, so I did pack a top for both of my pregnancies and or labors. I had like with my first had really been wanting to have a water birth and that just like didn't pan out. I did like get in the tub at one point though when I was there and used the top. Then when I had my daughter, I was just like pretty open. Like what was going to happen was happen as long as I was like safe and supported and could like, move around. That was great. Um, so I think I packed one, but I didn't actually like end up using it. Like once I like got into like, that zone and they were like, "Do you want to go into the tub? Do you want us to fill it up?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." And like it just happened,
Yeah.
So
Well, and I feel like some people like are very self-conscious and want to be covered up or even like being in a comfy like sports bra or like some sort of top, like even if your bottom is exposed. Um, or yeah, like having a bathing suit top if you're gonna get in the water. And some people are just like the feeling of clothing on their body when they're in labor, they're like, get this off of me. And they're just like ripping their clothes off.
yeah,
So if you're not sure how you're gonna react either, like I would recommend if you're wanting to get in the water or even utilizing the shower or like you want your partner to help you, have them bring bathing suit because they probably do not want to be naked. But
yeah,
just thinking about those kinds of things. And I will say for your partner too, it can get a little chilly. It can be a little uncomfy. So have them bring some warm, comfy clothes, maybe like a neck pillow, especially in labor and delivery. Um, or like in your in the room where you're actually in labor, there's not a lot of comfy places for your partner, so if they want like a little neck pillow when they get tired, that could be useful. Once you get into the postpartum room, usually there's at least like some sort of couch or something they can lay on, but a lot of times they don't have that in the actual room where you're laboring, so something to think about.
yeah. I think it just depends, and definitely like having that visit of what those expectations of the room are going to look like. Um, and I know this is probably like again very different from like hospital system or birth center that you're going to be viewing. Both of the like birth centers that are in the hospital in Vermont, like you're in the same room. You don't
Oh,
actually
interesting.
move. They just change out like the like bed padding and things like that for a mom. So they like move in like postpartum bedding. It's just like more comfortable,
Yeah.
like setup. And so that I think might be different than a lot of maybe other places. But yeah, you don't
Yeah,
like
because in the
move rooms,
hospitals, yeah,
but
in
they're
the
a lot
hospitals
smaller.
they move you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's kind of nice to not be moved because it is kind of a lot to move after you've just
Yeah.
had a baby. At least in
Yeah.
hospitals around here, you
Yeah.
move like 2 hours or so after you um, give birth.
Yeah.
You get moved to the postpartum.
No. Yeah, so both of the like birth centers that I had my kids are like they're in the hospital system, so it's not like a freestanding birth center. It's still part of the hospital, but there's basically like, you know, 4 or 5 rooms for birthing and you stay, in that room basically, unless you're moving to like use the tub, which is it's sort of its own separate room entity.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point though. Like wherever you plan to birth, try to get a tour, or if you can't get a tour, try to like ask those questions. Like
Yeah.
what is the space going to look like? What am I going to have access to? What are things you recommend that I should bring or that patients usually bring?
Yeah.
And even if you can like see photos of the room, that can be helpful just so you can kind of visualize what your space is going to look like. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, most places give tours, so I would definitely recommend doing that just to give you a better idea of
Yeah. We were
what to
able to get
expect.
Yeah. Yeah, we were able to get tours of some of the rooms so we knew what to expect and we could ask questions and definitely helpful so you know what to again, what to expect, what to bring with you, and what they'll have, available for you.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, I think that was a good conversation. I think hopefully
Yeah,
we pulled everything from our memory bank there. It's been a little bit for both of us, but sometimes
I
those
know.
details do stay pretty fresh, because your
Hmm.
birth experience does stay stay there in your brain because drama.
Absolutely.
Um, but okay, so that was all for today's coffee chat. Caitlin and I will be back next week for another conversation. And if you like this, be sure to share with a friend, and we'll talk to you later.